the chosen one and the Messiah. He's the light and the way. The wisdom of our days. The healer, the preacher, the truth, the love. Bangati to Boninge. Listen up a second. What you're before, that's the
Ojai, and welcome to the Wisdom of the Nile show. My name is Nehibsa Nesibik, alongside
Ujai Al-Kasati Hekama.
And we'd just like to welcome you to the Wisdom of the Nile show, yeah? First of all, we'd like to say acknowledge the divine world, and also acknowledge the world of the dead, the ancestors. We just give you a brief overview of what the Earth Center is about. Neb Naba Lumbusa Morindenibig, he was a Kemetic Dogon high priest from Burkina Faso, and basically he founded the Earth Center. It was necessary for us to have the Earth Center because due to the state that humanity was in here in the West, the high priest kingship from the Gulmu people, they decided or saw that it was necessary really, so they gave Nebnaba Lumusa Morindenivik permission really to come here to the West to bring the knowledge to us. Nebnaba, he was educated in the colonial schools alongside in the Kemetic culture, spiritual knowledge, and so he got to a level right where he excelled above his masters, and he excelled also in the Umtam science, Kemetic knowledge, and he got to a level right where, as I said, he was master at it really. So he founded the Earth Center School in 1998, and presently there is 6 schools in the USA. Got 2 schools here in the UK, one here in London, and the other one in Coventry. We've also got like a school here in Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou, and 2 schools there in Canada. Now Nebnaba, he was very talented. He was a master in the hieroglyphics, as well as he was a master in many fields really, kind of such as he was a metaphysician, he was an activist, At one stage, really, right through the knowledge that he was trying to impart on the people, he got arrested, really, and that's just to show you, like, say, how important and how they wanted to kind of suppress this knowledge that he actually brought to us here in the West. And this is for a part of our liberation, really. Now, in 2008, Neb Naba, he transitioned and said Naba Irita Shamira, he took up the mantle, really, and basically expanded the school internationally, globally. So basically the school, the Earth Center School, is divided into 4 branches, and we'll just give you a brief overview of like what each branch of the Earth Center actually consists of.
Yes, Ujjayi everyone. Yes, so the Earth Center's mission is to promote and preserve Kemetic culture, which is humanity's original ancestral culture. And we do this through the 4 branches, as we said. The first one is Firefly Productions, and this is a publishing house of the organization, which disseminates the traditional Kemetic knowledge. And this is done through books and magazines, CDs, DVDs, posters, and branded clothing. There are 3 books currently available on our website, which is www.theearthcenter.org. Center is spelled CENTER. So the first book available is written by Neb Naba Lamusa Moradenebig, and it's the Philosophy Podium, a Dogon Perspective. And this is a book, a collection of thought-provoking essays on the philosophy, culture, and spirituality of Kemet. The second book is the Initiatic Tales of Heshpatar, which is written by Master Nabra himself as well, and it's a Kemetic initiatic storybook telling tales that was told in the ancient days in the bush through initiation. And these tales enlighten and empower and inspire all leaders. So that is the Initiatic Tales of Heshpatar. Then we have the Book of Purification, also written by Master Naba and Naba Irita Shenmira. And this book explores the spiritual purification processes, the meditation and prayers that are taught in the temples and in the initiatic schools of Kemet. And these are also taught in the Earth Center schools. And this book covers ancient purification spells that are written and translated from Medu into English. Then also from Firefly Productions is the Code of Human Behavior, also known as the 77 Commandments. Now, these were given to humanity from the Neteru, the gods, to bring us away from our barbarism and corruption. Then we have the sidereal calendar, which is the world's most astronomically accurate calendar, and it's based on the Septet star, which the West call Sirius. And this calendar tells us where we are in time and space. It shows the Kemetic holy days that we observe and that our ancestors have been observing for thousands of years. Also, from Firefly Productions are the 3 monthly periodical magazines, the Rising Firefly magazines, and they contain topics from health matters to society issues, spiritual information, and it also includes the Bayuali readings, and that is the earth energy readings, which we can discuss further. And in these magazines, you're also given your monthly readings according to the time and date of your birth. So that's Firefly Productions. The second department of the organization is Projects in Merita, and this is the branch whose goal is to protect humanity's cultural legacy. And this is done through assisting the communities with traditional sustainable development. So projects in Merita assists with fixing old wells, building new wells, purchasing land and working on old land to produce environmentally friendly farming for the food and the herbs for the well-being of the community. Projects in Merita also is the branch that builds and assists with the maintenance of the Het Aisha Healing Temple, which is in Togo. Now, this is a temple center where people come from across the world, initiates and non-initiates, for the healing of the mind, body, and spirit. And at the Het Aisha Healing Center, it's a consolidation of healers from across the continent. So working on people in the diaspora who are dedicated to assisting to solve the current problems facing traditional communities and cultures. So this is projects in Merita. Then we have Ancaster Natural Healing. This is the branch responsible for bringing the traditional herbal knowledge and healing of the products and remedies to the world for the well-being of humanity. Also, Ancaster Natural Healing is the branch that deals with the Umtam science, which is the oldest science of divination. So Umtam is where the healers actually reads the earth's energies to diagnose a person's energy, looking at their past, present, and future. And this is a service that's also available through contacting us through the website. If you look on the website, you see all the branches, all the international branches with their contact details, and it's there that you can contact them to book for your earth energy readings. Also, the last branch of the organization is the Umtam School, which is the Dogon Kemetic School of Philosophy and Spirituality. Now, this is humanity's oldest initiatic system, and this is where we learn to apply the Dogon Kemetic knowledge. And this assists us to grow and to maintain necessary balance of the earth and all humanity. One moment, please. So, in the school, we learn 3 subjects. First is Sunt, and this is the traditional healing, where we learn the goals of a healer, the discipline and the principles of a healer. We learn how to diagnose various illnesses within the body, the traditional ways of diagnosis, and we learn about the traditional herbs and how to apply them. So that is the Sunt class. Also available in the school is the Medu Ma'it class. And Medu is humanity's oldest language, which is the cornerstone of Umtam initiation. It's in this class that we learn about the culture of the language, the technical application of it. And Medu has over 300 sounds and 400 ideograms. And this is by using Medu, it enables us to use the full capacity of our brain, which using English or other European dialects, we're only using 10% capacity of our brains. So Medu is what the West calls hieroglyphs, and they also call it a dead language, but it's not dead. It's still being used across the continent of Merita, which is the meaning of Merita is beloved land, and this is the continent that the West calls Africa, but as Ken we call it Merita. So, and as I said, Medu is not dead because it's still being taught in our schools. Also, the last class available is the Katibi class, And this is humanity's original form of meditation that's been used by the priesthoods in the Nile Valley temples from the pharaonic times. And in this class we learn the techniques of the breathing, the postures, the movements, etc. And in the Kartibi class, this is where we also learn the spiritual knowledge of our ancestors, which is scientific and technical. So we learn how to approach the world of the gods, the Neteru. We learn how to approach our ancestors. It's in this class that we learn the full spirituality of our ancestors with the prayers, which are 75,000-year-old prayers that we learn in the Medu language. So these are the 4 branches of the organization.
Yeah.
And should we give out the studio number?
Yeah, give out the numbers, yeah.
Yes, so if studio number, if anyone would like to call and interact with the program, is 07944 431 366. So I'll repeat, 07944 431366. And we're just going to play a tune before moving on to the topic, which today is entitled "What Are We Still Doing Here in the West?"
No sun will shine in my day today. No sun will shine. The high yellow moon won't come out to play. I said darkness has covered my life. And it's changed. Oh. Where is this love to be found? Oh, someone tell me please. Oh, life must be somewhere to be found. Instead of concrete jungles, where to live in this orange. Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, master, man, you got to do your best. Oh, now, no chains around my feet, but I'm not free. Oh, I know I am bound here in captivity. Oh, yeah. Never know what happiness is. I would say never know what sweet caress is. I'm always laughing like a clown. Oh, won't someone help me? 'Cause I've got to pick myself from off the ground. Yeah, instead concrete jungle. I said true, not true, not even sexy. Oh, concrete jungle. I said the jury found me guilty. Yeah, oh now I say no sun will shine in my day today. No sun will shine. Oh, high yellow moon won't come out and say, oh, Lord.
Ujayi, sorry about the abrupt ending of that song. Technical difficulties again. Okay, tonight's topic, yes, what are we still doing here? Firstly, I would like to say, in memory today of my father who passed away, and Kanefa's father who passed away. So I'll just explain. They're both born on this day today. So my father, Cleveland Henry Marshall, was born on the 1st of January 1922. And Kanefa, my initiatic sister, Kanefa Hekama, her father, Alfred Ephraim Hatherley, was born also on the 1st of January 1934. So we just like to raise them up closer to the divine as we carry their car, their spirit with dignity, courage and pride. So the title of the topic today, as I said, is what are we still doing here? I know my father, when he came to this country from Jamaica in the early 50s, his intention was not to stay here. He had 8 siblings and they all came here. And as most of us come into the West from the Caribbean, it was for mostly economical purposes, and our intention was never to stay. Unfortunately, due to society pressure, having children, and trying to maintain home and family, many of them did never leave here. Of my father's 9 siblings, 5 of them actually left here and emigrated elsewhere. So the topic, as I said, is what are we still doing here? So I'm going to read an extract from the Sunnyside magazine, which is one of the Earth Centre's online magazines. And it's from written by Kazabez Ma'akma. And this is entitled Repatriation. So the return home to one's roots is an essential journey. It involves returning in one's heart and mind to live as one's ancestors once did. The basic survival instinct is to return home. No matter how far away from home we travel, whether kidnapped, stranded, or lost, the quest to return home is priority for any human being. Imagine forgetting where or what home is, or even being born away from home. Imagine living in a place where every symbol that represents your home is considered evil, ignorant, or obsolete. If you become convinced that there is nothing valuable about your place of origin, what will you call home? The very place that has convinced you that you have nothing to gain from your roots will be where you seek comfort, guidance, support, refuge, etc. This place will teach you your ideas of right and wrong, freedom, justice, equality, success, beauty, love. It will be your source of pride. If you are happy, it's because this place has accepted you. If it does not, it can make your life a living hell. Home is not just where you lay your head to sleep at night. Home is what shapes you. It's what makes you who you are. It defines what you will do and what you won't do. How should we react when we follow what our society has taught us, only to find ourselves and so many others like us oppressed, attacked, impoverished, rejected and exploited by that same society? Should we question whether that society is really our home? Should we question what that society has taught us? Nahibsa.
Yeah, we should question it really because it's a good topic really because I know that they say from Jamaica there, I know like a lot of people they left home, and I suppose many of them had like what they call it a 5-year plan, and that 5 year, they're still here. Many of them kind of they started off kind of certain ventures back home, but because of ill health and things like that, they end up staying here. So um, yeah, it's a big question really. I mean, we're living here in the Western world. We get to a stage where we have forgotten, who we are and where we came from, and that's what's happened. We've lost track of our friends, people back home, and so with all the shortfalls that we've gone through, that we've encountered as kidnapped people, they've made us feel inferior about ourselves, but yet we still send our children to be educated. I call it like say indoctrination really, because that's what education is. We've sent our children within these schools system really, and they're schooling them to become who they want them to be, you know, to serve them as masters, and they have their own agenda, and it's about keeping us into a submission to do what they will, to do what they want. And we see that in the movie Roots, where Kunti Kinte, he was physically whipped to the stage, really, right, so that he gave up his name, his language, and everything that he stood for, because we understand really that within our language, our culture, our custom, all our identity, our spirituality, everything is coded within that. So when they took that from him, it's like they stripped him of who he was, and we're going through the same process now, not in that physical sense, but in the psychological sense, right, where they're whipping our minds, conditioning us really to give up our identity and giving us false values to aspire to, and so the place being where we can seek comfort is once where we would call home, where we would seek refuge, where there is like a community, where the family structure there is a supportive structure, that everyone belongs to a family, because it's not just your immediate family, it's the community, and your uncles and aunties, they're all family. So it's a different network, the way that the traditional culture, the family structure is set up. And so instead, that's what we would call a society, because we look at the society here really, and it's not really a society. Society is where there is a support system there. We see instead really like we submit and we accept their values and their opinions, to the point where in a lot of cases we really end up believing in those things really, right, that there are our views and that there are our values that we're that we're taking on, not realizing that we've been conditioned really a certain way through the system really, right, to take on their views and things. So it's like a mental illness where we're walking around believing that we're conscious, but really we've come to a point where we're killing each other in the name of their their churches. Like say, they send us to war, we're blessed to go out there and kill. We see them sending a lot of people back to Africa there really, kind of in the name of their gods, really, to rape and pillage the things that we have there, our resources, and we see the empire that they've kind of established and built out of it. And at the same time, they educate us to make us believe really, right, that what we've got there is evil, to the point where we struggle with ourselves sometimes to want to recognize that is our ancestors. You know, these were the families that we were taken from, and so we've turned our back again against them. You know, not realizing that we were one to initially, and now we've come to a stage right where a lot of us struggle to want to go back home, and this is why the question was posed: what and why are we still here? You know, what is it that we're getting from this system, really? You know, we've been educated by this Satirian system, you know, where we have adopted their principles, that forms a society that is just living by their nature. I mean, that's the values that's they have, you know. So, you know, they're teaching us about justice, but when there's no justice, it's just about lies and deception. And we've taken on board, like, say, those values. You know, they paint the picture, really, the image that where we come from is the epitome, like, of hell. And this is how we kind of perceive our own land, our own people, that we look down on them as if to say they're not good enough. And in some cases, when we go back, because of our foreign values and things, really, the superficial life that we're living here, we tend to think really like that we're better than them. And rather than when we go back, in some cases, we should kind of say, just like, embrace the culture, you know, because they have things to teach us and we have things that they can learn. We can learn from each other. So these same images, we're living here, we're seeing the brutality that we're going through, homelessness, lack of employment, broken families,
mental
illnesses. Yeah, this is what they give us, really, to aspire to, you know. And the reality is that in Merita, there's strong, the sense of the family. They got very strong family values. There's a structure there, really, where you know, they've got a culture there. We have our spiritual base there. Instead of religions, we have our natural herbs and things like that we have there, really, instead of this pharmaceutical chemicals, really, that we've been given. There's so much there, really, right, that our agriculture, I mean, you know, she read out before about the project in Merita, where we are kind of doing our own farming and preserving the land using traditional technique rather than using pesticides and things like that, which is killing us, really. So all in all the things that we need to live what we would say a natural, holistic life is sitting there waiting for us, really, right, while we're here pontificating on
materialism.
Superficial values, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just materialism. But not just that, still, it's also family commitments, children, in the schooling system. Many people believe that the schooling system here is better than what the schooling system in Merita is offering. And what the West have always known, that our children are much more intelligent than European children, so they put all manner of destruction in their wake to get them off their tracks. So many things have been set up for us to take us off our path, to take us from going back home, which was, as I said, our family's intentions for the ones that found themselves here voluntarily. Many of us, I know, like in America, for instance, did not find themselves there voluntarily. They were actually brought there as captives of war, as enslaved peoples, just like in the Caribbean. In here in the UK, as I said, most of our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents, they were not born here, so they came here for socio-economic purposes, but yet still they find themselves bogged down in this system. And Nahibsa mentioned something about Kunta Kinte, which many people if you're not aware, is one of the American stories of a captured African who they stripped of his name, his culture, everything. The story was called Roots, and it's been revisited last year, I believe, which was a different agenda that they had that we would have released that for. But anyway, Makaru, in the Philosophy Podium, there's an article, a chapter that I'll regarding society, and just a short paragraph from that in relation to Kunta Kinte, to say that we are the Kunta Kintes of nowadays, and Kunta Kinte is visible everywhere. He is the one standing at the corner of the street asking himself, where is the next meal coming from? He is the individual who is lost on earth, where you now need money to live and prosper, trying to solve the dilemma that has been imposed on us by the new system. He is the individual to whom only the doors of churches, jails, alcohol and drugs are opened, because they can help him contain his anger in a sort of fatalistic vision of the world, if it does not ruin his capability to think clearly about his situation. So these are the devices that they've put in our way to just blind us from our real situation, to prevent us from really getting out of Babylon.
And we have a story there, the Holy Drama, where there was Eru had to basically stand up for his father, Wusa, and he was posed certain question, what's the obligation of a son to his father, and he said was to fight and to reclaim his father's kingdom, and that's the position that we're in, that we have to start to stand up and fight and reclaim for our ancestors, really, for their freedom, to take back really what is ours, and to, the orientation is coming up to reorientate ourselves really back into the culture and put back value into our lives, really, and within that really comes respecting the planet, respecting the environment that we live in, where Western society is kind of destroying that. And this is one of the reasons why the Dogons really and other indigenous tribe saw it, so that we're at a stage that if we don't make changes, then we are going to become into decline. And so where we're hesitating to go back home, as we said, there is the structure, everything is there already waiting for us. It's there. We have everything that we need there. We have our family structures, we have a kingship, we have elders, we have everything there that's going to make our community really stronger. So in staying here and suffering, we see a lot of our men in the betting shop, in the pubs, basically just not even surviving, and yet Africa awaits its creator. This is what they would say, and so what are we still doing here? What's keeping us here? Is there anything here, do you say, that is worthwhile staying here for? I mean, the schooling, we have better schoolings there, there's more discipline there,
So we're going to just bring in our guest speaker. I'm just going to play an interlude, and this tune is Marcia Griffith's Dreamland, and it's also in dedication of my father, Cleveland Henry Marshall, and Karnefa Hekama's father, Alfred Ephraim Atherley.
And hope that they'll enjoy this.
There's a land that I have heard about so far across the sea.
Jai, everyone, we're having some difficulties here, really, and yeah, we'll try this again.
There's a land that I have heard about so far across the sea. There's a land that I have heard about so far across the sea. To have you on my dreamland would be like heaven to me. To have you on my dreamland would be like heaven.
Ujai,
Ujai,
how are you?
how are you? I'm good.
Have you got anything playing in the background? Any?
No, I got nothing playing in the background.
Yeah, it's just that we're getting a bit of feedback there, so we're just wondering if
Hold on, it's a loudspeaker. That might be why.
Okay.
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 Hujayi Hatane, could you
Hujayi.
introduce yourself
Is that-
to the listeners, please?
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, that is better. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, if you could introduce yourself to the listeners, please.
Well, my name is Bob Sifakara, and I'm the first generation of the UK Earth Centre in London. And my journey started some time ago with the Earth Centre. I am an initiate, and I have been trying my hardest to find my way back home. But the concept of us going back home is not as simple as how we take it.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of us Caribbean people consistently and American people continually making this big mistake of thinking Jamaica or wherever in the Caribbean is our home.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a true thinking African person, then you should realize that America, the Caribbean, Jamaica, wherever, some of the worst thing has happened to our people in those countries. So we shouldn't be too proud or happy to be Jamaican or wherever you come from or American, because that is where we have been ill-treated, misinformed, used, abused in every way.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's two things that we need to take into consideration. The first thing Bob Marley said, we have to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery
Mhm.
because none but ourselves can free our mind. Also, Marcus Garvey, how many years ago, was the first man that was trying to tell us that this place is not for us
Mhm.
and we need to go back home. Now, also, yesterday I was seeing an article on the newspaper, and this film producer, Michael Moore,
Mm.
and he himself is a Caucasian white man, and he said, not my word, his word, the white man has not changed. He is not gonna change.
Mhm.
So we are kidding ourselves and fool and feeling that things are changing, things are getting better. But in reality, it's getting a lot worse. Now we African people have this foolish idea that we are sharing with European people,
Mhm.
and we are giving them everything that we have. What are they giving us in return? If a man comes to you with a empty plate and you have food, then is he sharing his food with you? Are you giving him? That is what we need to look at. We just continually acquiesce and give in and give in. We are confused. We are lost. And that is why we can't get back home. We are confused. We are lazy in our mind because we don't think that as long as we are here and if we can exist in a little way here, then that is good enough for us. We are not thinking that what are we really existing? And as Naiksa was saying about people spend their life in the betting shop and in the pub. But I don't class those people as the same people like the people who's trying to get home. Because for them this is home.
Mhm.
They're not going nowhere. A lot of people go back even to Jamaica and all those Caribbean islands and find themselves coming back. They say they can't live there.
Mhm.
The people is different. And they
Mhm.
are different. And the people in Africa is different also too. I've been to Africa um, 3 or 4 times over the last few years, and getting back is not as easy or as simple as we would like it to make believe it is anyway,
Mhm.
because so much has been taken from us. Without the Earth Center or any such organization, we of Caribbean European people trying to go back into tradition, we would not be able to do it. We only would we go back and live in the society that is the same type of society that is in Europe.
Mhm.
Because guess what? In what we call Africa, they are trying to be European themselves.
Mhm.
So that doesn't help us saying we're going to Africa. Unless you're going to go back into tradition with tradition people, which have value, which have principle,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mhm.
have spirituality,
Mhm.
which their goal is to fit in with nature,
Mm-hmm.
to fit in with the body of the God, understand the understanding of divinity, of ancestors, the importance of your ancestors, the importance of every aspect of the kingship, of the pharaohship, of tradition, how tradition works. When we go to Africa, we have to be very mindful because things that we take for instance are simple. we are breaking taboos when we go there just by walking, sitting, talking.
Mhm.
Some of the things that we do and we think we're doing good over here, if you don't have the understanding, you can be upsetting people by doing things.
Could you give an example of that, please? Like the breaking of
Huh?
Could you give an example of what you mean by the breaking of taboos?
An example of that is simple. By you giving somebody food with your left hand.
Mhm.
Nobody and if you're sitting in a group eating and you put your left hand in the food, everybody get up and walk away.
Why is that?
Because the tradition is the left hand is for cleaning the body, and you shouldn't at no time put that anywhere in food. Even stretch out your left hand if you give to somebody, if you shake their hand or something like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
You see? So that is the hand you use to go to the bathroom.
Yes, I understand.
So that is just a simple thing.
Mhm.
And again, as you sit to eat in a group, you have to wash your hands before you sit down and eat.
Mhm.
So those are simple things that we don't do, because in this society now, very few families sit down for dinner
Together.
together.
Mhm.
So therefore, we are so far away from the reality of what tradition is. And then also, what we fail to understand also, so it's good to think about the dreamland, but also nature itself can be very harsh.
Mhm.
You know, if you come from somewhere like Jamaica, you have basically summer all year round. With rain, it depends on where you are. There are parts in Africa in the desert where the rain only fall every 30 to 40 years
Mhm.
once.
Mhm.
In other places in West Africa, the rainfall, you have two seasons basically. You have the wet season and the dry season. When it's wet, it's really wet. When it's dry, it's really dry.
Mhm.
If you don't understand those things and understand how to live within those boundaries and those limitations, if you are not trying to fit in with those things,
Mhm.
then your life is gonna be easy.
Mhm.
And then also we have the problem that we haven't got no language. We have nothing.
Yes.
So if you have no language, how are you gonna communicate effectively with people? And also, it's not just language, but local dialect, local understanding. The thing they do in Ghana is not the same thing they do in Burkina. They
Mhm.
might be very similar, and it's different in Togo. It's different variation of the same thing.
Mhm.
So you have to have a foundation that understand these things and look into those things. So that is where the Earth Center is very good, because we have people who has been living in the West and has moved back. Again, also, they tell you that don't try and move back one time. Try and do it bit by bit by bit by bit until when you feel you're ready, then you make that last journey.
Mhm.
But don't feel like you can just pack up and say you're going to go back. If
Mhm.
you do that, that is a folly,
Mhm.
because you don't know if your body is going to be able to live up to the environment.
Mhm.
You have things like malaria and all these other things that is there, that is strong in nature. So you have to be able to cope with these things once you're there. So it is not as simple or as easy to go back. But the main reason why we can't go back is because we are lost.
Mhm.
We are confused. Some of us don't sure whether we are black or white.
Mhm.
Some of us don't sure whether we want to live in this country or don't want to live in this country, because some people quite fondly accept their Englishness, and they're trying to believe, make believe that they're really English. And if they can speak the language good and go to school and get a good education, get a degree, then they're really doing good.
Mhm.
But they don't realize that once you do these things, once you have a degree, you are more deeper into the system more than anything else. And once you is it become a miseducation if you're really trying to be tradition and if you're trying to live and fit in with nature. Because whatever lesson or whatever degree that you learn in this country, if you're trying to go back and live in traditional with traditional people, you have to relearn whatever you learned already just to cope and survive. It might help you in some small way if you are a doctor or something like that and you're trying to think. But then you would only be practicing the same type of medicine that we're trying to get away from.
Mhm.
You understand? So it doesn't make sense for us to think that this idea that we have to start educating our children
Mhm.
because, as Master Naba said, he don't actually believe a lot of us is gonna make it
Mhm.
because we haven't had the education that we is necessary to take us there. It is for our children. It's for them to start going back. And also, one of the simple way of looking at it is that if you have a son or a daughter and they go back to Ghana or whichever African country, and they're young enough to start reproduce, if they go there and find a man or a woman and start reproducing, straight away they are producing African children.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, so you're back there in a way. But for us who has gone through that period where we can't produce nothing now, and we're going back now, we are only taking ourselves back. And that is not the whole dream. We want to take the whole race of people back. We
Mhm.
want we want to really drain Europe from the people that is giving them their foundation.
Mhm.
Because you have to remember everything in Europe. There's nothing really you can call European really. It's just an idea because everything that is in Europe is taken from somewhere else and put together and become European.
Mhm.
There is no such thing as really Europeanized things. That
Mhm. Mhm.
is a fantasy. We only being generous and not using the right term
Mhm.
because European societies and still is they're pirate society.
Mhm.
They just take things from all over the world and bring them here, and then they don't want to give people back their stuff.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then and they hold on, they claim them. And some people, so even some European people said, well, if we didn't take them, they would have been destroyed already.
Mhm.
But it's not your right. Whether they were destroyed or not is not who give you the right to be the savior of the world according to you.
Mhm.
When in your ability to save people save people products and things is only because you are making money out of it, are using it to better your own society.
I.e. the British Museum.
Hmm?
I.e. the British Museum.
I can't hear you.
No, I say the British Museum.
No, still in here.
No, the British Museum. They have all of our artifacts, everything in there for us, and they're making so
Mhm.
much money out of it there.
Yeah, they have everything for us, and then they pretend that it was there in the first place.
Mhm.
So it's very sad, because if European people just had the ability to be have humility and accept the reality of what life is, that 10,000 years ago there is no such thing as European people.
Mhm.
170,000 years ago, the Dogon people have written an oral um, papyrus and other written things on walls or whatever, proving that they exist and they were doing things. So if they only accept, and as we are both in the Earth Center, you know that everything come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Everything is coming from somewhere else. But if you don't have the humility or the wisdom to accept, yes, this is not mine, but I have put it together because I take it from somewhere else. And this is my becoming now. Don't hold on to it and say, this is gospel, but this is mine, this is my creation, this is my idea, this is my way. This is the right way. And I am superior to you because I'm able to catalog things and put them together. Some of the things that they catalog and put together, we don't have the same understanding about those things. So we put things together to fit in with the gods, to fit in with nature, to work in harmony with all the celestial body,
Mm-hmm.
to accept the things that we can do and the things that we can't do, and stop wasting time. Um, because the reality is, what European society is doing, they're not a society of principle, and their society is about just using up all the world raw material, waste it, so that few people can have as much money as possible. But they're not really growing spiritually. They don't want to grow spiritually because, as you rightly say, they are an Setian principle. Their way is just here and now, and it's about ecstasy, desires, happiness. Happiness is a state of mind. Whether you're happy or you're sad, it doesn't stop it from rain tomorrow. It doesn't stop it from the sun shining. If you want to fit in with nature, you have to know why the sun's shining and how it's shining and the reason for all of these things that make life important. Then we could start building society where people could understand their role in society. Right now, it's getting more difficult every day for people to find the jobs
Mm-hmm.
because the jobs that we have is not really meaningful at all. It's not, we are just the same like when you see they put a group of rats, hamster in a cage, and they're just going around. It's the same thing human beings are doing now. We are not growing in any way. We have no respect for one another as we should. We have no love. We have no joy within ourselves. We are completely lost. And as for us as Afro Caribbean, Afro American, we are in a worse state
Mm-hmm.
because, and that's why we can't go back home because there's no home for us to go. We are confused. We don't know which side of the coin we should accept. We are, and more, the more we are trying to integrate, is the further we are getting away from the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when you integrate in this society, the only reason why they want you to integrate is so they can take the energy of your blood. And because most of the time, the society, the blood is weak in certain quarters.
Mm-hmm.
So when they get new blood coming in the society, it's good. And after a couple of generation, they can't even see you in them again. So they're happy. They breathe you out of the system. That's all they're doing. So people who think integration is a good thing, they're only more confused. If a tree can't recognize its root, then that tree cannot live. It will die. If you don't recognize where you're coming from and all the reasons why you're here, and if you can't see, and again, in the Kemetic knowledge is that if you don't know where your knowledge is coming from, if you can't understand how you get here and why you get here, then you are just as bad as these people. So we need to take that into consideration and think carefully.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of people who say they are great thinkers and great philosophers and whatever, but they miss basic understanding about the self. What is a human being? Why are we here? What we were created to do? Are we doing any of those things? Are we realizing what our ancestors sent us here to do? Are we walking in the footsteps of our ancestors? Are we walking with pride, with dignity, with humility, with understanding, with sincerity, with knowledge, with a foundation that we are consistently building on to grow so that we can show when we get back to the world of the dead, is our ancestor pleased with the work we have done?
Mm-hmm.
Will they be disappointed that they sent us here in this time? Did we realize any of the dreams that they want? Those are the things we need to look into as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we waste a lot of time, as you say, going in the betting shop, going in the pub and drinking, and we are happy and contented until your money run out. Then you start regretting life. We have done too much regrets.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the time for us to pick ourselves up and start thinking positively in a simplistic way.
Mm-hmm.
People in tradition, and it's one of the things you realize, if you have true tradition, you don't need a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not the important. It's not the big car. It's not the big house. It's not the big bed. Those are not the important things. But it's your spiritual journey that is important. And that is why we fail in also so much, because we do not respect the human body. We do not respect that we are a beautiful instrument that is created and fashioned by our ancestors and the gods. And only when we start realize that and put religion aside and put politics aside, because politics and religion is the same. They are only there as tool to misuse us, to misguide us, to influence us to do all sorts of nonsense. And is it surprising that in the black community, the only man that is really flourishing is the pastors?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah? They are flourishing so much. The society allow them because they're controlling the people. And they're happy. So let that one idiot take the money for him and his family and sell out the rest of his race and the rest of his people. And they are so coconut not to understand what they're really doing themselves. They're glad to be saying, I am this great preacher. What are you preaching? What is your true philosophy? What is your understanding about yourself? What do you know about God or the energy of God? What do you know about creation and the creation of human being and other things? What is it that your goal is? How much money can you carry when you're dead?
Yeah.
You know, if they even full of coffin, a 50-pound note, all it would the same thing would happen. Is somebody will be just waiting as soon as they bury you to come and dig it up.
Well, it's happened. I've seen it happen before, really. Where I remember going years ago, going to a funeral, and that's what happened. People threw a lot of things there, and somebody went back there and actually dug it up. They did. They did.
Yeah, you see, so you know, we have the wrong idea about reality and about life. You know, so if you are not serious about life, then you can't be serious about going home.
But would you say though? Sorry to cut.
Yeah,
what would you say that going through initiation, is that any preparation? Would you see that as a preparation to
It is a preparation for taking helping to understand that we are on the wrong page, and that we have to get off the material page and get on the spiritual page, because we are spiritual people. And why are we giving away our birthright and trying to fight somebody and their territory? If you are not evil, and as we said, the holy and the unholy can't be on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, if you know you are truly spiritual and holy, why are you trying to mix with the unholy and trying to copy the unholy and trying to live like the unholy and then say you're a spiritual person? You can't have it both ways. You have to have it one way or the other. So it's either you're gonna just accept that this fight is not about this lifetime, it's many lifetime. This journey is not about one lifetime, it's about many lifetime. And we have to prepare ourselves that we know we are going to live, we're going to die, but we're going to come back. And each time we come back, we should be refining, we should be growing our quality, and we get to the stage where we become divinized human being,
Mm-hmm.
where we don't have to come back and go through all this cycle of life and death.
Yeah.
So people should understand that what we call Satan or Setian principle is good if you are a person who is trying to be holy,
Mm-hmm.
because that is where you're going to get your source of how to conduct and how to behave yourself for you not to go down that road.
Mm-hmm.
But there are many who love that road because it's an easy path. And we have the concept that life is a uphill struggle.
Yeah.
And a human being like everything easy. You don't give a human being anything that is difficult, and he can see an easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 400-500 years of human history, all we've been trying to do is to make things easy. We don't realize that your hands need to work, your feet need to work, your mind need to work, your organ in your body need to work. If we continue to sit and just sit in front of the box as we are doing now, then we are killing ourselves. We are killing ourselves intellectually, spiritually, and physically. Every aspect of our life that we need to make this beautiful organ, that what we call body, work properly, it has to have all of these components. It must move.
But
The brain must work.
But they call that entertainment, isn't it? When you come home, you go have a hard day, you come back and you kind of lower your guard and you sit in front of that box. That's entertainment. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, that is the easy option. That is the easy option. That's not the real action. The real option is to sit down, meditate, do your prayers, do your zemzem, be in constant, try to be in constant communication with the divine, with your ancestors, with the plants, with the earth, everything around you, the four elements that make life, as we know it. We have to understand that these things are real and they exist, and we as human beings have a way of reaching out and touching these things, and they touch us and inspire us to be greater human beings. So everything we have as a human being don't come from us. We think it comes from us. We don't have nothing. Our intellect is not ours. Our body is not ours. Our blood is not ours. Nothing that we think that is important in the cycle of life don't belong to us as a human being. And we have to respect those things and understand that there was somebody here before us, and before the other person there was somebody else also, and you go back and go back and you go back, you find that there is always something. We always be coming from somewhere. Nothing don't just come into being. Everything that exists come from somewhere else in one shape or form.
So your personal experience when you went back to Merita, you said you've been there a few times. What was the hardest challenges for you to settle in? You know, your personal, like that you think that you'd have to overcome for you to stay there.
Um, it was challenging in a way, but if you prepare your mind for what you might face, and I'm always philosophical. I'm always thinking the worst, and I'm always thinking the worst is being eaten by ants. One night, that was the worst challenging thing. I think almost every inch of my body was bitten by ants that night,
Yeah.
and I thought my body would never be the same again. But nature and um, my wife and whatever, we work it through, and you can't even see one mark on my body now.
You
To
mean
know what I go through.
natural herbal healing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we that is, I'm saying, fitting in with nature when it's hot in the night, and we sleeping outside, in the desert almost, is beautiful and nice, up to about 12 o'clock in the night. But come, after 12, it's freezing, it's cold. So you have to be prepared for those sort of things. But to me, I didn't have too many challenges, because one of the things also, we went to a kingship, to a king palace, and they asked us some very hard question, because and one of the things, it was a simple thing, that they ask you is like, if you go to a village and they offer you food, and even though the food don't smell good or you don't like it, what would you do? And the simple answer is that whether you like it or not, you're gonna have to taste it or eat some of it. Because if you don't do that, then that is a disrespect, also. So those things, I cope with the challenges, very easy, because I can sleep anywhere. I can have fun within myself. I don't. I know once you're in a man's house, you have to respect his house.
Yeah.
And so therefore, wherever I go, I treat people with dignity. I don't have no superior complex or anything like that. I respect everybody. People respect you also. And by the way your mannerism, you will get better. People will treat you better. Is people who have problem, is people who can't accept what they find in front of them. Whatever food or drink they put in front of me, whether I like it or not, I'll eat enough so that I can survive. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be happy with it, because I didn't enjoy eating toast sometimes twice a day, every day. But at the same time, I know that is what they're eating, that is what is there,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna eat enough. Again, sometimes the food is was so peppery, and I can't take pepper in that extreme way, and I just um, eat enough, and drink enough water, whatever. The next day you get better food, or the evening you get better food, something that you like. And there's always fruits and avocado and all them things there. So, to me, it wasn't a really challenge, as such. I had a few illness, that was a bit challenges, but it wasn't nothing, that I would say that I didn't cope with, and it never I never feel down. Not one day when I was there. I was happy. The sun was bright and hot, and that just that enough. Give me enough joy. So some people, you are what you make life to be, and it's up to you to make whatever, if it's a bad or a good situation, to make it and build on it and work on it. So I didn't have much thing, and we go some real rural place. The only drawback that I have when I go there is not being able to speak the languages.
Mm-hmm.
That is to me is one of the biggest drawback because one day I was trying to get a cab in Togo, and that was a joke. It took me about 20 minutes before they could understand me and me could understand. And I wanted a taxi, but other than that, no. I don't have much. I go everywhere in the world, and you know, people is people, and if they treat you good, what you have to be aware of in yourself as a human being. As soon as you go, you have to be able to feel the energy that is there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can feel the people. And if you feel the energy is not good, you have to do something to try and change your energy, make it better, make it more positive, so you can relate to people easier.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So someone going there with this Western mindset of believing that they're superior, someone like that wouldn't fit in then.
No, they're not gonna fit in. And if you're gonna go there with the idea that you want the same food that you used to have in this country, you wanna sleep in a nice big bed. Then all them things there, I sleep on the bare concrete one for about 3 nights one place, and I had a bed, a little what do you call it, a little fold-up bed, and I find that after I get used to the concrete, I didn't want the bed again. All I needed was a pillow.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And once I have a pillow, I sleep 3 nights on the solid concrete. It didn't bother me at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I can cope anywhere.
So it's about it's about learning to be flexible to
As
and
a
live
you
and
as a human being, we one of the things that a lot of human beings find hard to do is that you have to be able to adapt and change to
mm-hmm,
suit your situation and your surrounding.
mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to change, if you don't want to adapt, sometimes I wonder why people go to certain places,
mm-hmm.
because when they go there, all they do is find things to criticize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just petty thing they're going to be criticizing and worry about.
Mm-hmm.
If you're there for the true purpose and the true reason, if you want to be back and see what tradition is and live with your some of your ancestors as how they used to live from thousands of years, then their society has changed very little.
Mm-hmm.
We have been all over the place and changed and all of that. And if you say you really want to be in tradition, then you have to humble yourself and accept the things that they are doing
Mm-hmm.
and deal with it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are that kind of person, really going back and say you want to be a traditional person, it's not going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to work because you're always going to be confusing. And it's the same thing. People go back to the Caribbean. After a while, they start thinking about England and say, I have this in my house, I do this, I do that, and now I can't do that, One of my friends went to Jamaica, and he was upset, and he said, nice big house like that, I mean, they didn't even have hot water. Yeah, and I
Oh.
Yeah.
was I was in my friend house in Jamaica, and he didn't have hot water. It take me a time to adjust to the cold water,
Mm-hmm.
but I just adjust, and after
Yeah.
a while, I didn't even realize it was cold again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to adapt and change wherever you are to
Mm-hmm.
suit the situation and circumstance. And if you can't do that, then you can't survive going back home. So
Mm-hmm.
some of us is too long in the society. We've been here too long. We are more European, more than European,
Yeah.
and therefore, when you get to that level of corruption, that corruption is not gonna come out of your system.
So basically, what you're saying is, if they were to move to Ghana and living in the
Mm-hmm.
5 bedroom house and have the
Mm-hmm.
big fancy cars, it's just the
Mm-hmm.
same as living in the West, but you're doing
It's the same as living in the West because
yeah.
that is not tradition. You're not doing
Mhm.
nothing tradition. You just gone back to Africa,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But you really want to go back to America.
Which yeah.
You understand? You really want to go back and accept the tradition, live like how traditional people live. Some people um, look at things in the wrong way because they see traditional people living in the small little house, and don't have none of the amenities that we have. And they say that is a backward step. And that's why they're always cursing African people. Why aren't they more developed? Why couldn't they have this? Why couldn't they have that?
Mhm.
The reality is they have the knowledge that they could have all these things many long before European people.
Mhm.
And they decided that we don't want to go down that road because we see where it's going. So the choice is either we grow our quality and look and think about our future, that we are gonna go through the cycle of life and death and come back each time. And we're gonna make sure that we are a better human being. More than getting the big house, the big car, and all of those things. Because when you get all of those things, you are trap yourself in the material world. And then when you die and you go to the world of the dead, you are completely lost if you do get in.
Mhm.
Because you don't understand about life, the true essence of life, the importance of understanding how to be a human being. You miss out that. So when you are material and you die, you are worse than a baby when you go back to the world of the dead. You're completely lost. So it's better to accept the simplicity of life, to be in harmony with everything around you, and knowing that as a human being, if you don't go through the cycle of birth and rebirth, death and rebirth, then you can't become nothing. Other than that, you are just a wandering spirit just going around and from lifetime to lifetime. And well, not even from lifetime, you just wander in the earth
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
eternity. And what is that? Because you won't have your dead relative with you. You won't have none of the people you know that that exists with you, because we as human beings need other human beings. No matter how we think we are loners and we can do everything, we are limited in what we can do as an individual. And when you are too individualistic and you're not on the right path, then all that happen to you, you become macabre and you just do evil things because your thought become evil, because you have nothing, nor no one to give you inspiration.
So, what tools would you say that the Earth Center provides people in order for them to return home as well as to raise their qualities?
The Earth Center provide people with a lot of tools. They provide you with a knowledge, which with a language. That is the most important thing,
Mhm.
because every language in the world come from Medu.
Mhm.
Once you can understand Medu, then there's also other African language that contain a certain amount of Medu. All language have some form of Medu. I was in Ibiza early this year, and a South American Mayan priestess, and she was doing a lot of ritualistic thing. And to my surprise, she was using a whole lot of Medu words.
Mhm.
I was shocked because I didn't realize that the link was so close.
And this is in
Um,
Ibiza, you say?
yeah, but she learned in Mexico.
Uh-huh.
But she was using Ebsy and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, she was using many words.
Mhm.
I was like, what?
Mhm.
Medu, she was using a lot of Medu words. So um, the Earth Center give you the knowledge um, of what you can do in living with the people, how you can fit in with nature.
Mhm.
It give you an understanding how you should live, food, customs, um, all the things that you need. They also provide, if you want to, a place that you can live within a community. They have lands that they have building a house
Mhm.
um, for people from the west to go back and live. within people from the West with people from the West, and then they can integrate little by little into society.
Mm-hmm.
So they have for you the full spectrum if you really decide to you want to go back. Um, if you are not too corrupted by your lifestyle and your way of thinking, and if you are really trying to understand what gods are, what nature is,
Mm-hmm.
and how to exist and live within those confinement,
Mm-hmm.
then the Earth Center is the right place for you. If you wanna boost your ego and you wanna think like in some like when you go to Jamaica, you see so many big houses that start and can't finish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you wanna do that, then that is not the right place for you, and the Earth Center can't really help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Earth Center is a spiritual organization. And the first and foremost is spirituality they're teaching people. And because we know that a human being without spirituality is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how much money you might have, no matter how many wives or whatever you have, if you don't understand your spiritual journey, you have nothing. And that is why we are failing so bad too, because we accept religion instead of spirituality. And we continue to just think that we are getting somewhere, and we're Europeanizing ourselves more and more. And the European at the same time is going back to all these places and steal whatever they can have and
Exactly.
bring it back here. So
So what's it?
they
Sorry to cover, Hatani. So can you just explain to people what is the difference between religion and spirituality?
religion is about control.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all religion premise is to bring fear, the fear of God, the fear of this, the fear of that into you,
Mm-hmm.
so they can control you. It's the same thing. That's why I said earlier, religion and politics is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's no different.
Mm-hmm.
Being spiritual, you have principle. If you see what's going on in the world today, there are very few people with any form of principle.
Mm-hmm.
And being spiritual is you realize that there's something else exists out there that you don't fully understand, but you will take the time and energy to learn about nature, to learn about the divinity, to learn between the difference between light and dark, to understand yourself as a person who's got a heart that is beating, and your time, your reality in time and space now. So if you're a spiritual person, you're a thinking person, you're trying to fit in with everything around you. If you're a religious person, then all you want to do is glorify yourself in the name of saying you're glorifying God. And in another simplistic way is like the difference is spiritually put the emphasis on yourself to improve and grow your quality and to be a better human being. Religion take that away from you and it asks you to pray and believe, and God will do everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where the big difference is.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not
So,
accountable.
huh?
So you're not accountable for yourself then, really.
No, you're not accounting for yourself. So you have the concept of forgiving, because that's one of the big tenets of religion.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what somebody do to you, you must forgive them and you must forget, because God is gonna put it right for you, or He's gonna give you more, because you have suffered so much. We don't have that concept at all. The concept is that you have to wake up every day and look in the mirror. If you kill somebody, you can then um, honor yourself by saying you're a good man. And whether society asks you to do it or you do it, you still kill somebody. You can't change that. So when your time is done on this earth and you go back to where you be judged, you're gonna be judged as a murderer, whether you like it or not. No matter how you've been paid, or you've been a soldier, or you're a police, or whatever, and you kill somebody in the line of your duty, that have no relationship with the energy of the creative force of nature. It have nothing to do with that.
So are you
So
saying?
you're not gonna get no forgiveness,
Mm,
and you're not gonna be getting no honor because you have committed one of the sin where they said, "Thou shalt not kill."
so you
And
said.
once you kill in any shape or form, and some people are gonna say, "But if somebody's trying to kill me, somebody's trying to rape my wife, my daughter, my sister, my son, what should I do? If I kill them, is that justified?"
Mm,
Nothing is justified in the name of what the commandments say. Thou shalt not kill. It's simple as that. They didn't have any stipulation under it said you can kill in this case or that case. How you are judged is entirely up to the divine and your ancestors. So, that is a big difference, So religion is something that is growing and growing and growing and growing, and is growing, but it will come to the time when it will crescendo, because every society have high and low. Every society rise and fall. Everything go up, mostly come down.
So, can you, in regards to this particular day today in the Gregorian calendar, it being the first 2020, people
Mm,
are looking at this. We know that we're in the age of Aquarius, according to them, where a lot of knowledge now is coming to being revealed. We're noticing a lot of lies that people in high and low places, deceit and wickedness that they've been hiding for years, all 50
mm,
years. All these things are coming to light now.
mm,
So people are now saying this is 2020 now. This is the time to rise or raise our consciousness on a
mm.
higher heights now. So what would you say to that in relation to this 2020?
I said,
Because they're
you
actually
know,
referring it to
you
2020
have to
vision.
differentiate in life.
Uh-huh.
Some people are growing their quality, but some people are more barbaric than they were before.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people who is greedy is still greedy.
Mm-hmm.
The people who is wicked is still wicked. Is with the advent of the internet, and a lot of things are coming out now. But it doesn't make no difference, because if it did make a difference, then you wouldn't have somebody like Trump or Boris Johnson in power.
Exactly.
It's not making no difference at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they just continue to get more adventurous with the lie. The lie become bigger, and they become more emboldened to do and say the things that they want to say. Racism is even worse now than it has, because people are willing to stand up and say they are racist now,
Mm-hmm.
because they have somebody that they can look up to for
Mm-hmm.
coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is what I was talking about earlier on, and this is where I'm frightened about the indigenous people of the world,
Mm-hmm.
because we know every time we give them everything, they take it and use it against us in the long run,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because their intention is not pure.
Mm.
What they are looking for out of life and what we are looking for is two completely different things.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few that might be thinking like us, but the multitude of European society and European people don't even understand what is going on
Mm-hmm.
in their name.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, they are as ignorant or more ignorant than us. So we, I can understand why we are trying to raise them up as well. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it's the same thing like when somebody go in the ballot box to vote. When that last minute, the true quality come out,
Mm-hmm.
even though they might know something is wrong, or they shouldn't do it. but they're gonna stick with their nature.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be who they are, and you can't expect Turkey to vote for Christmas. And it's as simple as that. So, um, in this new age of where yes, a lot of things coming out, but um, evil. This world is run by evil,
Mm-hmm.
and it's governed by evil, and people with evil intention and evil attitude flourish. If you have humility, humbleness, sincerity, and kindness, it's hard for you to survive in this society. So
Mm-hmm.
that is why it's important that you get yourself out of this system
Mm-hmm.
and go somewhere where you can live um, and be close to nature and don't have to have this hustle and bustle of life where you're waking up and you from the time you wake up you're on the run till you get back home at night. No wonder why you're sitting beside the TV. And because you get stimulated by the lights and you think that it's doing you good, but in essence, you if you check most people in the society, even when they have a full night's sleep, they wake up in the morning feeling tired more than when they went to bed
Mm-hmm.
because their body has not recharged fully. And there's so much things on their brain all the time, so they don't really have no rest or any peace within themselves. How many people have the strength after a day's work to go out for half an hour or 20 minutes walk?
Mm-hmm.
Will their body even allow them to do that? They just about manage to get to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. Yes, I understand um, that in the Earth Center they say that mankind is falling over the precipice, so we have to help them.
Mm-hmm.
But I am weary about helping them because for the simple reason is that the nature of the beast is the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And once you know the nature of something, why are you feeding the nature of that thing? When you know in the long run, he's only trying to corrupt everything that you are trying to preserve, which he was only trying, where people like if you take for instance, the atom bomb was discovered by human being through the help of the gods, so it could use for the betterment of human being. But
Yeah.
once they got it, what they do? They realize, oh, we can create bombs,
Mm-hmm. And destroy
so we can
humanity.
do masculine now in a
Yeah.
Yeah.
bigger and better way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So that is the thing that I'm weary about.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'm in for sharing, but sharing should be sharing, not giving without getting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So
but if
what's
you don't have nothing to give, you should accept that you are getting and take it with humility
Yeah.
and use it as I consistently say.
mm-hmm.
If I borrow a plate from my friend, or a spoon or a fork or whatever, my duty is to look after that thing better than my friend would look after it. Because it is. And he can choose not to look after it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not mine. I haven't got that choice. If I want to maintain that friendship and give the man back him thing, the way he give it to me, then I have to make sure I look after it in a better way.
Mm-hmm.
But you
So
can
true.
only do that if you have principles.
Well, that's what we're talking about. Then,
Mm-hmm.
so why are you giving something to somebody who have no principle?
Mm-hmm.
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 How is he gonna deal with it in a principled way? How is he gonna respect it? How is he gonna use it not in a selfish way? How is he gonna use it for the betterment of mankind, of humanity, when his whole goal is to enrich himself and his family?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the same type of leaders we have in Africa too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of them is educated in the West. And they have the European mentality the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And because the European is stealing so much from Africa, they allow the one minister or president to thief as much as well too. But when everybody is talking about how much one president steal from Africa, they're not looking and see how much France and England and all these other countries are actually raping Africa and taking from Africa.
Mm-hmm. That is the fear in it when you're sharing with somebody, really, as you say, that don't have no principle. I mean, even the knowledge that we have, like say going through initiation, that getting into the wrong people's hand could be very dangerous as well, though, isn't it?
It would be very dangerous, but I'm not too worried about that because I am confident with the divine, and I'm confident with the deities and all of those things, and I know that your perception, you can only perceive something when your intellect, your qualities is of such a nature. If you get something, the knowledge itself will confuse you that you don't even know how to use it in the long run. That is the only thing that has been saving us. If it wasn't for that, if they could use everything that they get, we would have been finished long time. As you can see throughout the world, the Aborigines people has finished. The Indian people has finished. The Mexican people spirituality has finished. The Indian people spirituality, they don't frighten of it because they don't think it can harm them. And there's a lot of ceremony and a lot of dressing up and a lot of things like that. So they love that. And a lot of Indian magic is mysticism based on negative magic anyway. So they love all of them things there. So they're not the Indian people. They can't kill them off. There's too much of them now anyway. But we were always the target for elimination because for whatever reason, everything that they want, we have. Everything that they need, we have. And everything that we are, they are not. So therefore, we are the prime target for them to use the medicine, the chemical, and everything on us.
But still they have many of us so brainwashed that is what we're running towards. All the things. So many of us are brainwashed that they have us running towards the things that they're pushing. So, for instance, the pharmaceuticals, wanting to where everything falls to look like somebody that's not your natural self. So these are the things that they have our people running towards rather than coming back to themselves. So
what you have to understand, and this is a concept that you need to understand. Not because a man black and his born black is really black.
Exactly.
You understand? Black go much more deeper than just color. It's a consciousness that a person have. So a lot of the people them we are vexing with and thinking they're not behaving right or they're not doing the right thing. They are not all people in the first place. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I know white man that is more black than black man, and I know black man that is more white than white man.
No, it's true that one. Definitely.
Yeah, you think it's joke I make it? It's true. I know some black man, and I've even heard black man say, the runaway in Jamaica was ruled by Britain because they used to get looked after better. So a lot of the people them what we anytime a European people done anything bad to us as black people, Look and see in the history if you don't see there's a black man that is there helping them too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You understand? I walk with my class as a black man is there helping them.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, so
There are many names for them.
yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
them call him the house nigga, they call him everything.
Mm.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
understand? Because they level of consciousness has no rise nothing at all. They don't even understand about what we are dealing with is self preservation.
Mhm.
They don't even have the intellect to preserve themselves. They might think they're preserving themselves, but it's not preserving themselves because they think that because they live in the house. And it's the same thing in the time of slavery when you used to hear about the European people was boiling the meat and the slave them drink the water. And the slave them was getting all the nourishment out of the food more than what the master was getting out of it.
Mhm.
So a lot of time people think you're getting something, but you're not really get nothing. You're
Yeah.
not really learn.
Mhm.
Mhm.
If you're in a house slave, the only thing you can learn is to be a better house slave.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's nothing else out there for you.
Mhm.
You understand? But if you're out in the field and working hard and you're learning how to survive and thinking about when you run away, when you go, what you're gonna do.
Mhm.
You understand?
Mhm.
You know, you are there working outside and know that you just waiting for that day. If you are the house nigga, all you waiting on is when the head house nigga in the house die,
Mhm.
you get his position.
Mhm.
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 So we have to choose carefully in life and look at ourselves carefully.
Mhm.
But as I said, a lot of us don't take that time to reflect on themselves and their family
Mhm.
and their blood and their ancestor
Mhm.
for what our ancestors have gone through, to the struggle, to the amount of things that has happened to us. We are fortunate and lucky to be alive today. And then at this late stage, for us to be a further sellout,
Mhm.
you understand?
Mhm.
So, we have to just try and understand that life is not what it is. Whether you're good, bad, or indifferent, your duty is to the divine, to your ancestors, because there's a creative force that creates everything.
Mhm.
And if we don't respect that creative force, if we have this foolishness that we think that God created the world in 7 days
Mhm.
and then rest, and after that everything is running normal. If we believe in the concept of this Big Bang theory, that one Big Bang, and then after that everything fall in place, and the sun is coming every day, and the moon and everything is in accordance with that one Big Bang, then we are delusional and we are living a life of pure illusion and fantasy.
Mhm.
If you continue to live in that fantasy, what do you expect? Or where do you expect you're gonna get to in life?
Mhm.
Mhm. Not very far. Not very far.
So it is important people respect the Earth Center. It's important everybody respect Master Naba. It's important that we respect our teacher and priest, um, Erita, Shimera, Naba, because he's really working hard to enable us to get back home.
Mhm.
But as I said, home is not for everybody.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
everybody can go back home because some people believe this is home already. Some people
Mhm.
don't have the attitude, the intellect, the quality, the simplicity, and the harmony within themselves to get back home. Because what they're looking for is not what is there. And
Mhm.
there's one thing about tradition, it's not about fantasy, it's about reality.
Reality.
Mhm.
So unless you really want reality and you wanna be in a position where you can grow and you can help others to grow and you can live anywhere and everywhere with everybody, then I would not advise you to go back there because even the mosquito and the ants them know you and then will eat you up same way.
They smell your code.
So in the meantime, whilst we're preparing ourselves mentally and spiritually to get there, it's a case that we've got to reclaim ourselves through the spiritual system of our ancestors.
We have to reclaim ourselves. One of the first things the Earth Center teach us about is honoring our ancestor, raising the quality of our ancestor, raising them from just being dead relative to be ancestor. Because we know that we need them as much as they need us. It's a two-way thing going on. The living have to work with the dead, and the dead have to work with the living. The only human being that really understand life, understand nature, understand existence, understand how and what we should be and what we are as human beings, is a human being who is working with the dead. If you are frightened of your dead relative, if you believe in the concept of religion, you are running away from reality. You will never ever be able to be your true self, and you will not be able to get the best out of yourself. Your children won't get the best out of themselves. Their children would not get the best out of themselves because they are trapped in a situation that we might class as a lie. It's pure propaganda. Religion is propaganda. Politics is propaganda. I'm sure you remember when we get the class when they say everybody can be president.
Yes.
And we all laugh and said, no, that can't be. Not anyone can be president. Look at what happened now.
Yeah, Trump is there, isn't he? And Boris.
You understand? So, we have to glorify Master Naba because his intellect, his insight, his vision, his ability to understand and communicate with us and the divine is good.
Yes.
And therefore, if you are a true seeker of true spiritual knowledge and wisdom and you want to grow within yourself, you know, a lot of people in the society, especially a lot of black people, they just like dress up in all sorts of fancy costume and give themselves all kind of name. I see so many black people calling themselves all kind of name where they don't even know what they mean. But we know that your name is one of the most important things to you as a human being. And that is why it's so bad for us when we're going around with the slave mentality, the slave name. And we're keeping that, and we're saying we are true Jamaican and we love Jamaican. Are you saying to yourself, I'm a true slave and I remain a slave and I want to be a slave? I don't want to grow from this quality. I don't want to improve my family and my lifestyle. I don't want to know that about my foundation. I accept where I am. I accept I'm a fool, and I will continue to live as a fool till the day I die. And I expect my children to continue to be a fool also. That is what we're saying.
But some of those names that our slave masters gave us name. Well, I'm not going to call them slave masters. Our enslavers gave us names. But some of the names that we're actually giving ourselves, is that not just as ridiculous, really, as the names that we was given to us?
It is. It is because at least when you get the slave master name, it identify you with him. And if there's a record, you can go back and get that record and find out where you get mixed up in that system.
Yes.
When we choose to give ourselves name because we misunderstand things and we think we are doing ourselves a good because we know your name should carry a vibration,
Yeah.
and when people call your name, it is energizing you.
Mhm.
It is making everything understand who you are. The earth understand you because your name should really be coming from the earth
Mhm.
because we live on the earth. And if the earth don't understand who you are, then who is going to understand who you are as a person?
Mhm.
So it's good when we read a lot of foolishness and have a misguided understanding about Kemetic philosophy. And some people, I see them give themselves Ra, Saneta,
Some long name.
all the gods them. Never give themselves all the gods them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it said, so this must be very powerful and strong, So and that's why they say a little bit of knowledge is a bad thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing,
Mm.
because imagine when some of these people go back to Africa and the people them see them, everybody just bust out laughing, you know, because they know that it's impossible for one human being
Yeah.
for be seven God at the same time.
Yeah.
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 So we have and if we did really have the humility and get initiated properly
Mhm.
and learn properly, one thing I would say to people is this, and this is what you have to be very, very careful of, and that's one thing I always do in the past. If I want to learn about Hindu mysticism, I go learn with an Indian
Into,
mystic.
Mm.
If I want to learn about martial art in a Chinese style way, I am going to go and learn with a Chinese person. If you want to learn about African spirituality, you need to get initiated with people who live and born and grow in Africa. Not people who born in America and England or wherever. Because, I used to I used to try reading the Netta and all of them kind of book them.
yeah.
And after a while, I realized it's only bringing confusion because they're trying to bring everything. They're trying to bring yoga. They're trying to bring all sorts of Hindu mysticism into it and Chinese mysticism. And some people have this idea then it's all ours in the first place. Yes, that
Mm.
is true to a certain degree.
Mhm.
But after many thousand years where these people has evolved, whatever they have now is theirs because they have changed it so radically. So you can't really recognize it again.
Mhm.
And why are you gonna go and try and get something that is second best when you can get it from the original source?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, as I said, people, you must endeavor to speak to the divine, speak to the gods, instead of speak to the Bible.
Mhm.
You know? The Bible can't answer you. But if you're connected with the divine energy and life, you can speak to the gods, you can speak to any deity if you are that way inclined. So it's a simple thing. Don't just accept any foolishness anybody. In the 60s and all of that, um a lot of English people get fooled by Indian mysticism where everybody gets solar mantra. Um, everybody, and the more money you have, is the better mantra you could buy. Because everybody believe that you need a mantra, you can't survive without one. And it was just a money making thing.
Mhm.
In I can't remember how long ago in the Christian church, you could go and buy your place in heaven.
Them still selling it still.
According to the most money you have, you can go to the priest and say, Father, I've done this and this, and they tell you, we're not going to cost you how much, and your sins are absolved. It's all the sort of foolishness a human being is continually believing and accepting. And instead of just have humility and willing to put in a little bit of work. And that is why I said we are lazy as human beings. Because we want everything put on a plate for us easy. You know, even nowadays you see it that they say now a lot of people are passing the so-called degree. And they don't even have to write one essay and all of that. They just have enough money to pay somebody to do all the work for them.
Yeah. There's been a lot of that going on lately. Yeah. Anyway, Boapti, we appreciate you know, you giving us your time, and it was well educational, really. You know, I mean, for those really who are thinking about going home, at least you know you've given them a reality check. You know.
Well, I'm grateful and thankful for what I've received from the Earth Center. And as I initiate at the Earth Center, I will continue to express what the Earth Center is expressing, because I know it to be a good thing to enable us to get back home. And as I said, away from Marcus Garvey, is only the Earth Center is saying the same thing. And look how many years ago Marcus Garvey was saying that.
Yes.
And we have not really grown or evolved from that. We just continue to think that we need to integrate and assimilate. And we don't realize that is our demise or our destruction that we are really dealing with.
Yeah.
So up you mighty race. Accomplish what you will. Yeah. Well, duawu, Hatani.
Duawu.
And Iriru.
And that was our Atani Boapti.
That's our teacher, one of our teachers from Boapti Fakara, from the first generation.
Yeah, and we have to give them a lot of credit, because they are the ones really that's kept the school open for us to be here now.
Yeah, they carried Naba Irita Shudmira handed them the baton, and they've kept it well, and hence we're still here to this day, 3 years later.
5 years later.
And 5 years? Okay, and we will be graduating our 5th generation in the UK. 5th generation in London, actually, I should say. The 7th generation in the UK. On Sunday... Oh, actually, sorry, excuse me. They're the 8th generation in the UK. So, yeah, the Earth Centre is growing bigger and bigger. So, on Sunday, the 2nd of February, we're going to see these last generation of initiates that's just passed their exams. They're going to be graduating. So, there'll be a graduation ceremony on Sunday, the 2nd of February, from 5:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. And this will be held at New Chances, 399 High Road, Tottenham, N17 6QN. And that's on Sunday, the 2nd of February. And the week after, at the same address, there's going to be the orientation. And this is when the Earth Centre opens up their door for initiation. So this is giving people the opportunity to come and learn about what initiation is all about, speak to other initiates. And as we spoke earlier, the 3 subjects that you can sign up for at orientation are the Medu class, the Kartibi class, and the Sunt class. So that is on Saturday, the 8th of February, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. New Chances, 399 High Road, Tottenham, N17 6QN. For further information related to any of these events, you can contact Earth Centre London on 0208 558 3678. So that's 0208 558 3678. Or you can email us on enquiries-uk@theearthcentre.org. Now, as you know, the Earth Centre is an international organisation. Our website address is www.theearthcenter.org. And we also have our Facebook pages. So if you were to go on Facebook and just search for the Earth Centre, you will see the Earth Centre Manu, which is for everyone in North America. You have also Earth Centre Canada in the North Americas. Then you have Earth Centre UK and the Earth Centre Coventry. And then you have Ouagadougou, which is our school in Burkina Faso. So coming up in January, we're all going to be having lectures or events entitled Fatherhood, Attacking Masculinity. So if you go on the Facebook pages, you will see each school, they will have their particular dates for this event. In London, that's going to be on the 25th, Saturday the 25th of January, 6:30 p.m. The lecture, Fatherhood, Attacking Masculinity. So look out for the flyer and more information relating to that on the Facebook pages.
Wow. And as Boapti was saying, initiation is the pathway, like one of the pathways really to, our topic was, what are we doing here? So the orientation basically is open up the doors for those really who would want to make that transition, and this will be setting you up really right to make that transition there, putting you in good stead. So for the classes, our classes usually are on Sundays from 10:30 till 4:30, and to get an idea of what's being taught, they allow you to come in and sit in on one of the classes. So leading up to that, if you're interested and want to know a little bit more before you commit yourself, that is an ideal opportunity really to do that still. And the address really.
So you'd call us on the number that I gave you, 0208.
And the address
0208 558 3678. So if you'd like to attend on a Sunday, you can contact us prior to that. And our address is in Leytonstone. So it's number 21 Sunnyside Road, London, E10 7BB. Also, our Coventry details for our school in Coventry, it's 18 Biggin Hall Crescent. That's Coventry CV3 1GS. Telephone number 0247 626 6859.
And would they also be having a lecture presentation as well?
Yes, if you go on the Facebook pages, you'll get all the information relating to that for the month of January.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and as we say, Duawu for all our listeners for tuning in, and we say Duawu to Bless for allowing us this opportunity to broadcast on behalf of the Earth Centre. And
yes, Duawu to the ancestors, the divinities, to Makaru, Nebnabalumu Samora Denebig, for Naba Iritashen Mira from continuing his works. And we're going to part out with two tunes. The last one, again dedicated to my father, and Hekama's father. Kanefa. Hekama. And myself, Kasati Hekama. Our fathers were born on this day, the 1st of January. Cleveland Henry Marshall is my father, and Alfred Ephraim Hatherley is Kanefa's father. So, dua everyone, and we'll see you next strong.
In the memory of the beloved prophet Nebnabala Musa Mordinabig, the doggone priest, Mahir, the truth teller, Bisina Basa, which means I'll be appreciated after I'm gone. He's the man who overcome the devils with love. He's the man who speaks because he has something to say. The man of wisdom, the definition of humanity. Maheru, Maheru, Maheru. From far away, I'm from far away, far away, from far away, West Africa, from far away, Prophet Naba, far away, Lamusa, far away, Morotenebi, far away, Prophet from far away, Prophet Naba, far away, from far away. From far away, Prophet from far away. He's the man of wisdom. He's the man who lived by faith, and not by fear. His greatest wealth is the richness of his soul. He's the man who lived by faith and not by fear. He's the double-edged sword. He's the double-edged sword. He's the key to unlock the treachery. Follow truth and you shall find him. He's the definition of humanity. He's the beginning and the end.